ProAgni is a revenue-producing Australian ag bioscience company that's committed to developing products that decrease the environmental footprint of food production without increasing the cost of that production. This is an overview of our markets, and in particular, the growing need for abundant, cheap food with a smaller environmental footprint. And it's an overview of our products that directly address this need. As the world's population has grown and many nations have become wealthier, meat consumption has risen globally. In the US alone, beef is a $70 billion industry. China is now the fourth largest consumer of beef in the world. This growing demand is expected to continue. And, like everything, that growing market is also expecting meat to be cheaper. This cheap abundance was enabled by the industrialisation of agriculture. This meant that growing demand could be met and at generally affordable prices. But while industrialised agriculture solved the problem of how to create abundance cheaply, it created other problems along the way. Problems that impact our health, the health of our animals, the health of our environment, and the long-term sustainability of our industry. These are the problems ProAgni is solving. One of the most pressing issues in animal agriculture is extensive use of antibiotics, and more importantly, the contribution that use makes to antimicrobial resistance, AMR, or superbugs. Believe it or not, 70 to 80% of antibiotics used globally are fed to animals, and the majority of that is fed to perfectly healthy animals to promote growth. But the thing is, the bacteria evolve, and as they evolve, they become increasingly immune to the antibiotics they were exposed to. Fast forward to today, and antibiotic resistance has emerged as one of the biggest threats to global health, food security, and development. Animal agriculture is a large contributor to that. Responding to this threat, the food industry wants meat that's cleaner. But of course, they don't want meat getting scarce, and they don't want it to be more expensive. McDonald's, Costco, and Subway have all announced programs to reduce antibiotic use in their global supply chains. And we see that consumers, or at least the consumers that can afford to, are increasingly voting with their wallets. In 5 years, the antibiotic-free chicken market in the US went from virtually 0 to 40%. And on top of that, governments are also playing a role, and we've seen the US and the EU increasingly regulate antibiotic use in food production. So now, like good, fast and cheap, agriculture needs to be cheap, abundant and clean. It's hard to do all three. With current large-scale production systems, cheap and abundant comes at the cost of clean. If we decrease antibiotic use, we increase production costs and decrease production volumes. This puts abundance and affordability at risk. But without reliance on antibiotics, farmers who cannot deliver cheap, abundance and clean face the following future. They can focus on an increasingly competitive high-end market that cares more about clean and less about price. Or they can race to the bottom on price to meet a middle to low-end market that doesn't have the luxury to focus on clean. The third alternative is markets deserting them to other choices. But if producers can clean up their systems and remove antibiotics without increasing costs, everyone in the food chain wins. Food stays abundant and cheap, and it becomes increasingly clean. ProAgni's Protect range removes antibiotics without increasing costs. In many cases, it can significantly decrease costs. Protect is currently available through a growing range of rural resellers and feed suppliers. It has fed millions of animals to date and removed hundreds of kilograms of antibiotics from the system. This helps farmers meet consumer demand for clean, cheap, and abundant food. ProAgni is also developing probiotics, which can significantly decrease production costs and improve animal health outcomes. And again, without antibiotics. Results from the existing Protect range have been validated by the University of New England, the Thomas Elder Institute, and by a number of commercial trials with producers. Trials are currently being conducted in the US. probiotic results to date have been validated by the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries in Queensland. In cattle, Protect can provide 20% faster growth on 20% less feed, leading to 20% lower cost of gain to the producer, all without antibiotics. In sheep, the economic gains are even stronger, and again, without the use of antibiotics. ProAgni has been recognised as a finalist in the National Carbon Cocky Awards, as the winner of the Meat and Livestock Australia Pitch in the Paddock, and, more recently, as the winner of the Global Edison Award for Innovation. ProAgni is also a signatory to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Science and awards are great. It's our customers who have the last word. We're proud to be supporting the industry in delivering cheap, abundant food without the use of antibiotics. At ProAgni, we believe in improving farm economics today and ensuring farming sustainability tomorrow. We believe you can have your steak and you can eat it too.